What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Today we're reviewing a video that somebody sent to me of a Michigan State Democratic senator that went off on a colleague in a speech, a Republican colleague that accused her of grooming kids. Let's just get right into it.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't expect to wake up yesterday to the news that the senator from the 22nd District had overnight accused me by name of grooming and sexualizing children in an email fundraising for herself. So I sat on it for a while wondering why me. And then I realized, because I am the biggest threat to your hollow, hateful scheme. Because
if that be true, if they actually wrote that in a fundraising email in order to try to drum up fundraising campaigns, that's an issue. And see, the thing about it is that I lean more towards being conservative, but I don't just rock with anybody just because they identify themselves as conservative or Republican or something like that. I evaluate people on an individual basis, and character matters.
You can't claim that you are targeting marginalized kids in the name of, quote, parental rights if another parent is standing up to say no. So then what? Then you dehumanize and marginalize me. You say that I'm one of them. You say she's a groomer. She supports pedophilia. She wants children to believe that they were responsible for slavery and to feel bad about themselves because they're white. Well, here's a little bit of background about who I really am. Growing up, my family was very active in our church. I sang in the choir. My mom taught CCD. One day, our priest called a meeting with my mom and told her that she was not living up to the church's expectations and that she was disappointing. My mom asked why. Among other reasons, she was told it was because she was divorced and because the priest didn't see her at Mass every Sunday. So where was my mom on Sundays? She was at the soup kitchen with me.
You know, I grew up in an environment where it was very similar to that, and that the dedication that you had to your church was largely the evaluation standard as to whether or not you were a real Christian or you was doing whatever it is that you. And I grew up in a black church, right? So it was even more pronounced, right? Like you had to be super into everything that was church related. We went to church on Wednesdays, we went on Sundays, we was with each other all the time or whatever, and it taught me a lot. In a positive way, and it allowed me to be around a lot of men that, you know, I was able to really glean what a real man was. But at the same time, you know, it was very judgmental in that the only way that apparently you could be saved or the way that you could be successful in Christ was to be intimately involved in the church, and nothing else mattered. It didn't matter if you did volunteer work. It didn't matter if I was doing stuff downtown and I was working with homeless people. No, church comes first. But what is the church? But that's a completely different conversation. I just wanted to, make sure that I talked about that because a lot of people experience that and they don't talk about it a lot.
My mom taught me at a very young age that Christianity and faith was about being part of a community, about recognizing our privilege and blessings and doing what we can to be of service to others, especially people who are marginalized, targeted, and who had less. Often unfairly.
She speaks
I
very
learned
well.
that service was far more important than performative nonsense like being seen in the same pew every Sunday or writing Christian in your Twitter bio and using that as a shield to target and marginalize already marginalized people.
Throwing shots. I don't even know if writing Christian in their Twitter bio is something that this Republican colleague has done. But you can tell a shot. That was a dope shot.
I also stand on the shoulders of people like Father Ted Hesburgh, the longtime president of the University of Notre Dame, who was active in the civil rights movement, who recognized his power and privilege as a white man, a faith leader, and the head of an influential and well-respected institution, and who saw black people in this country being targeted and discriminated against and beaten, and reached out to lock arms with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he was alive, when it was unpopular and risky, and marching alongside them to say, we've got you.
You know, the interesting thing about Dr. Martin Luther King is that in hindsight, playing Monday morning quarterback, now that his legacy is already cemented, everybody is acting like they rocking with him, but in reality, most people are not rocking with his principles today because they're still on code. They don't look at people based off of the content of their character. They looked at people based off of the color of their skin. So she's absolutely right in that it was unpopular back then to rocking with him, but a lot of his principles and the things that he stood for still isn't espoused, which is one of the reasons why we having these same conversations today.
To offer protection and service and allyship to try to right the wrongs and fix injustice in the world. So who am I? I am a straight, white, Christian, married, suburban mom who knows that the very notion that learning about slavery or redlining or systemic racism somehow means that children are being taught to feel bad or hate themselves because they are white is absolute nonsense.
She should have said it's absolute bullshit. Real talk, because I don't like it when people, I think that maybe politics and being a YouTuber is probably one of the dirtiest jobs that you can be in because people can say anything and they can clip up things and they can come up with content just to, empower or to energize the people that rock with them when it's absolute bullshit. She should have just called it what it was. Real talk.
No child alive today is responsible for slavery. No one in this room is responsible for slavery. But each and every single one of us bears responsibility for writing the next chapter of history. Each and every single one of us decides what happens next and how we respond to history and the world around us. We are not responsible for the past. We also cannot change the past. We can't pretend that it didn't happen or deny people their very right to exist. I am a straight, white, Christian, married, suburban mom. I want my daughter to know that she is loved, supported, and seen for whoever she becomes. I want her to be curious, empathetic, and kind. People who are different are not the reason that our roads are in bad shape after decades of disinvestment, or that healthcare costs are too high, or that teachers are leaving the profession.
That makes a great point. And this is one of the reasons why I like to listen to the individual policies instead of what side of the aisle somebody is on, because we spend too much time focused on the things that actually don't even matter instead of paying more attention to the things that actually impact you on a day-to-day basis. I believe that the local elections, and she is a Democrat in my state, in the state of Michigan, in a place where I have my main residence. She is a Democrat in my state, and the roads are bad, and healthcare is too high, and the different policies and the things that's going on in the state is not good, right? In my personal opinion. And people spend too much time hitting on these national points instead of paying attention to maybe the millages that's coming along that's going to affect what's going on in your schools or your community colleges and things like that. So everything that she says, and I've never heard of her before, everything she says, it's resonating with me because she's showcasing that although she visibly represents something that people are looking at and saying, bad, 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 and she's on the side of the aisle where a lot of people nowadays are saying bad, bad, bad. The reality is that she's actually more closely aligned with my reality, and how does that affect what it is that needs to be done in her specific district or her specific state and the constituents that she serves.
I want every child in this state to feel seen, heard, and supported, not marginalized and targeted because they are not straight, white, and Christian. We cannot let hateful people tell you otherwise, to scapegoat and deflect from the fact that they are not doing anything to fix the real issues that impact people's lives. And I know that hate will only win if people like me stand by and let it happen. So I want to be very clear right now. Call me whatever you want. I hope you brought in a few dollars. I hope it made you sleep good last night. I know who I am. I know what faith and service means and what it calls for in this moment. We will not let hate win.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know where she stands with regard to certain issues. I don't necessarily agree with, as a Christian, certain things that's happening in society. At the same time, I don't demonize people for their life choices. I'm just one of those type of people that don't believe that you need to throw it in my face every day. So the problem with this and what she's talking about is you can't use rhetoric in order to try to raise money so that you can possibly defeat your opponent in the upcoming elections and things like that. I just believe that there's not enough truth being told. There's not enough people standing up for the things that they believe in and actually having conversations that benefit the people instead of benefiting themselves or the coffers and, trying to hold an office. We have to remember that these people are public servants. And then at the end of the day, it's become more of an opportunity for a cash grab and holding power than it is serving the people. So I thought it was a unique video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm gonna have to do some more research on this woman because she is going viral as a result of it. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. If you need personal coaching, make sure you tap in with me. My website, antondaniels.com. Send me an email from there and we're going to get you popping. All right. The Patreon is absolutely awesome. We just dropped a new video where we actually did a live stream and then we reposted the video from a Zoom session where we're actually building a new business from scratch. I'm taking you through the process and then allowing you guys to actually learn by participating rather than just watching a video. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.